Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 o'clock, and I'll call our Tuesday, August 12th, Middlesex County meeting to order. Just before we start, I do have a couple of comments I'd like to make. And first one is I want to thank Jessica and Rebecca and the team that organized this morning's events. Very much appreciated. And you can see some gold trophies sitting around from the people who won. And I do want to thank for their efforts and for this team building, and gives us a great opportunity to meet staff who we wouldn't otherwise get to meet. So really appreciate it. Also, I'd like to officially welcome Paul Shipway here as a new CAO. Glad to have you on board and look forward to working with you. And I want to thank Dirk Vanderwerf for all of your efforts and stuff during the interim CAO. Your leadership over the past months have been greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. While we're on the topic of that, I also want to recognize Chris Bailey, our Director of ITS, who's recently been elected as the Regional Director West for the MISA Board of Directors. For those who may not know, the MISA is built on collaboration, sharing best practices, volunteerism, serving as a national voice for municipalities in the field of information and communications technology. Congratulations, Chris. And thank you for representing Middlesex County on a national level. Thank you very much. And I will add now, continuing with our celebration of Middlesex County's 225, we have a couple of pieces of history again. And I don't know who's making them up, but anyways. Did you know that Middlesex County established its first official road system in 1853? Creating a network of county roads that laid the foundations for today's transportation infrastructure. By 1908, the county had expanded this system to cover 328 kilometers, which served as the backbone for what eventually became over 800 kilometers of modern roads and highways, including parts of Ontario's vital 401 corridor. This early road network was crucial for connecting rural townships, supporting agriculture, trade, and fostering regional growth, making Middlesex County a transportation hub in southwestern Ontario. So I think we're going to be continuing with these little tidbits that come on each time. So at this time, I'll turn around and ask Marcy.
We acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabeg, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape-Pewak peoples, who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nation communities of this area include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames First Nation, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We acknowledge the treaties that are specific to this area: Treaty 2, McKee Purchase; Treaty 3, Between the Lakes Purchase; Treaty 6, London Township Purchase; Treaty 21, Longwoods Purchase; and Treaty 29, Huron Tract Purchase. We value these significant contributions both in the past and the present of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Thank you, Marcy. At this time, provision of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none from council. Approval of the agenda. Councillor Mayhew, Councillor Grantham.
Yeah, just Warden, just if I can maybe before we vote, and I apologize, Clerk, I should have asked this before. I noticed that our CAO is sitting there. Should not the bylaw to appoint the new CAO come first so that he can act in his role? I apologize. I've had that before, and I just should have asked, but I just noticed it.
I think we're okay
We're okay?
at the end of the meeting. Because there's nothing you're signing during this.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. I'm happy to sit wherever you'd like me to sit, though.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Stay right where you are. Okay, thank you. So all in favor of the agenda? Favor? Carried. Thank you. I would also mention that, as many have already, I mentioned to you, is that jackets are optional due to the heat. And the morning we were out in the sun, and we'll make jackets optional. That's for staff and councilors. All right, this time, adoption of minutes for July 8th special meeting, July 7th special meeting, July 8th regular meeting, July 7th closed session, and July 8th closed session. Is there any errors or omissions or business arising from? Seeing none, need a motion? Councillor Smybert, Councillor Clark, all in favor? That is carried, thank you. New business, action items, and the first one is the appointment to the Middlesex Accessibility Advisory Committee. And that one, Deputy Warden DeVete and myself were contacted on this, and we did have William Campers put his name forward to join that committee, and there is space in that. So if there's any questions, we do have a recommendation to add him to the committee. Is there questions on that? Seeing none, a mover? Sorry, Councilor McGuire.
So Mr. Camper's not familiar with them. So under the terms of reference, I see that it needs certain criteria to be fit. Does Mr. Camper's fit into one of those criteria? Is that why his name's coming forward?
Yes, the criteria in the terms of reference are met. His application met that.
And if I may follow up, he is a resident of Middlesex County?
Yes, his application indicated he was.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Look for a motion. Councillor Grantham, Councillor Clark, all in favor? Carried. Carried, thank you. Partnership of Municipal Innovation, Women in Local Leadership. Cindy, I believe that's yours.
Sure. Thanks, through the warden to council. In front of council today is an update report on FCM Partnership Women in Local Leadership, PMI WIL as it's known as. The purpose of the report is to let council know that the next mission is coming up. The mission is planned to leave on August 22nd and return on September 6th. The mission for 2026 has also been announced for approximately a March timeframe. Unlike previous exchange missions, there has been some recent activity at the Cambodia and Thailand border. And that's, I do apologize, that's why it also came on to council late, because we were trying to waiting for direction from both SCM and also NLC in Cambodia on if the project could go forward or not, and we were looking at safety and security. So therefore today, staff is looking for council to authorize participation in the next mission based on confirmation from both FCM and NLC in Cambodia that the exchange is safe to move forward. Thanks, and happy to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, Cindy. Questions from council? Councillor Clark.
Given the short notice, is it mandatory that someone attend?
Through the warden to council? No, it's not mandatory. I put in the report, we did give a bit of a commitment to FCM when we did sign up that we knew there was a number of missions that we would look at going to. However, this is fully to council, and that's why we put it on the council agenda to make sure that you were informed and the decision goes back to council. And I guess the only other thing is we also are in a partnership with FCM.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Burkhart.
Thank you, through the warden. Just as follow-up with that, given that August 22nd is not that far, have the travel arrangements been made on FCM's end?
Through the warden to council, it's my understanding, yes, but I actually haven't seen tickets yet or an agenda, but it is my understanding it has been.
Other questions from council? No other questions? We have a recommendation coming up on the screen. Is there a mover for that? Michelle, Councillor Smybert, sorry. Councillor Burkhart-Jessen, seconded. In favor? Opposed? One opposed. That is carried. Inquiries? Notice of motion? Councillor comments? So we do need a motion to go in committee of whole. Moved by Councillor Smybert, seconded by Councillor Mayhew. All in favor? Carried. Action items, the first one is the Middlesex County Community Improvement Support Program. And Dirk, I have you to start that.
Thank you, through the warden. This is a collaborative effort between a few of the people in the room, so I'm just going to start with sort of the framework, how we can do this if you choose to, and then pass it off to Kara, and I think Paul's going to wrap up. So you're through council direction over the last couple of years, both related to industrial development. We've talked a lot about housing and sort of modernizing some of the tools such as the CIP program. You've asked for sort of a more structured approach to that. So this report responds to that. It also, I think it's important to note that it does align with the Housing Accelerator Fund work that 4 of our local municipalities are doing, but that all of our local municipalities are going to benefit for as we work on not only the planning side of it, but the CIP work that's underway. Of course, at your local desk, you're familiar with your community improvement programs. And on the technical side of it, Section 28 of the Act, and also the county's official plan, 4.8, allows the county to legitimately fund within the confines of the legislation local CIP work. So all municipalities, with the exception of Newberry, do have CIPs in place, so it's relatively evenly, could be relatively evenly applied across the county. So all of the technical instruments are in place if you choose to do this program, and then I believe Kara is going to speak a bit more about the actual program design.
Thank you, Dirk, and through you, Warden. The county has an existing history of supporting community improvement plans, and that history dates back to working with our departments on the development of a CIP primer, which act as an encouragement to local municipalities to either ratify or change their existing CIPs that were in place at that time, only 2, or to develop new CIPs. And I'm happy to say that over the course of the last few years, we have been able to develop the 7 CIPs that are currently in place in your local municipalities and serve an important role in developing. The county previously, following the development of all of those CIPs since 2021, has had a support program in place through the Economic Development Department based as a reimbursement program to your local municipalities for the support that they provide. That program has been focused on facade improvement, signage, and revitalization projects. Details and analysis are attached to this report, and I will say as well that this has now started to expand into other developments such as the housing. The CISP formalizes and expands the prior program into a policy-based framework with 3 defined funding streams. The first, general property revitalization, the smaller scale community revitalization projects that are most oftenly associated with traditional CIPs. An industrial and commercial development program, supporting assessment growth through incentives such as DC rebates, TIFGs, and fee relief. As well, a third component, housing-related development, supporting affordable, supportive, attainable, and rental housing initiatives, including ARUs and adaptive reuse. The CISP has built-in KPIs, competitive merit-based review, ongoing online intake, and council discretion for exceptional projects. Annual reporting to council will track volumes, project types, geographic distribution, and measurable impacts. And I'll now pass it over to Paul.
And I'll just quickly touch on again, thanks to everyone who worked collaboratively on this. This is one of the rare tools where the county can create a program that satisfies county strategic priorities, but then each individual local municipality can choose how it best determines to support that. So we're just providing funding to amplify their program. And just on process, we're requesting for council to consider approving the policy today so we can put that framework in place. So when local municipalities are going through the process right now of revamping or reviewing their CIP, they know the county is a partner or has a framework in place to support local CIPs. And then at budget, county council would consider the levels at which to fund each stream. Within the report, we did put in recommended stream values, but that would all be determined at budget. So that's a high-level overview of it, and any of us are prepared to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions from council? Councillor Grantham.
You ordinance through you to Kara or Paul, you talk about the housing advocate in the report, and I looked for the verbiage that talks about how that is affected. So how does this affect the housing advocate that we were looking for?
It's through you, Mr. Warden. Yeah, so we do reference the Housing Advocate Report. When it originally came forward, it spoke about a role and a suite of programs, and that's specifically if we go all the way back to the business case that was presented at budget. Ultimately, that didn't go forward and just the role did, but what we're referencing is the supports, the program that was originally contemplated within that business case. And what this would do is provide, I'm just going to use this, the hypothetical stream value, $100,000 for Middlesex County reimbursement of local CIP initiatives. So if a local CIP wanted to put in building permit fee rebates for affordable housing, DC, that's a bad example because DCs are exempt, but various local supports for affordable attainable housing, then the county would amplify that existing local stream, and that was part of what was contemplated within the tool set of the business case for the housing advocate.
Yep. Just a follow-up, Warden. So see how does this remove the possibility of the housing advocate? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Through you, Mr. Wood. No, not at all. Staff are still consulting with local municipalities on the role of housing advocate, and we'll come back to council as directed on this. This is more to put in the tool set for the county to be able to amplify those local initiatives.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Clark.
Yes, through the warden to Paul. So just for clarity, for example, on stream 2, the industrial and commercial development, that's just a recommended number. I mean, we all know that we've identified that's a shortfall in our tax revenue base that I'm glad to see the number's 100, but I don't know how if it's a realistic number, and I think that's something for further dialogue down the road as we look at our strategic development opportunities. So, thank you.
Other questions? Seeing no other questions from council, we have a recommendation. Moved by Councillor Burkhart Jessom, seconded by Councillor Mayhew. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Village of Newbury hybrid official plan. Dirk.
Pull up my screen here. So I'll be frank, most of the work done in this report was done by others, but I'm the one that gets to speak to it. All the way back in, it's been 2021 now, County Council and then also Village of Newbury Council did endorse the concept of a hybrid official plan. You can appreciate that Newbury doesn't have a lot of the issues that other municipalities have in terms of aggregate resources, agricultural land, etc. So rather than create a new official plan to replace a very outdated document, our approach is being taken where it's just a chapter that deals with Newbury-specific matters, commercial, residential, etc., and then relies on the county's official plan for the rest of those policy things, such as agricultural areas. That Newbury work is actually already underway with staff and others. There is a little bit of, to sort of operationalize this, there are a number of sort of technical changes that need to be made. And I guess the report goes in great detail, or goes into enough detail, I believe, on those items. And I would just highlight the one, just sort of practically, it wouldn't make sense in my mind to have the public meeting for a Newbury-specific official plan amendment in this chambers before you. Rather, it should be in Newbury for Newbury Council, and then they'll make a recommendation that will come to County Council. In the end, it is County Council's decision because it's your official plan. Presumably, you would significantly consider the input of Newbury Council. But so there's a number of technical things that need to happen in terms of delegation, updating our fee bylaw, a number of those things. We did look at other jurisdictions in Ontario that have done this, and I think we've learned from them. And so in the end, there is a recommendation. And I would also maybe just highlight, I certainly think it picks off a few of the strategic priorities that you've identified, including collaboration and shared services to improve efficiency, seamless operation, et cetera. So There's a number of recommendations there. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions from council? Just looking for questions from council? Seeing none, we have a long recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councillor Mayhew, seconded by Councillor Smyber. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Dirk. Our next item is Middlesex County AI-powered website and the chat box. Chris.
Thank you, Warden. Through you to council. In June this year, we developed and launched a AI-powered chatbot on the Middlesex County website with collaboration through county departments. The bot is designed to provide accurate 24/7 responses to commonly asked questions by residents through the website. We reviewed website content and updated it to ensure that accurate and current information is readily available. As of July 30th, over 300 questions have been asked and answered by the chatbot. Using the chatbot analytics, we have determined as of now the 5 most common departments or topics that the chatbot has been asked questions about. Those top 5 are planning services, social services, legislative services, community transportation, and HR, employment opportunities. As we move forward to ensure the chatbot is continuing to deliver accurate and reliable information, we are planning to do quarterly reviews with each department to ensure that website content is stayed up to date and the most accurate that it can be. Some of the anticipated benefits of the chatbot include improved user experience, offering quick and accurate responses to resident inquiries, 24/7 availability, ensuring residents have access to immediate assistance outside of regular business hours, enhanced access to information, making it easier for our residents to find details about county services, reduce call volume, decreasing the number of inquiries that county staff may get regarding frequently asked questions that the bot can answer instead, as well as providing us with data-driven insights. It enables the county to identify common issues and potential service gaps that we may have. The technology used to develop the chatbot was reviewed using our artificial intelligence policy, and it includes a disclaimer that when initially looking and loading the bot, letting residents know to not share personal or confidential data with the chatbot. From a financial perspective, there's a $4,000 licensing fee yearly for the software. It is a part of a larger suite of services that the IT department can leverage for other projects, which we're looking into. And we're also collaborating with our local municipalities right now to develop and implement chatbots across websites across the county. In terms of strategic focus, collaboration and partnerships with that local municipality lens on the project, as well as adaptability and agility. The recommendation is that the Middlesex County AI-powered chatbot report be received for information, but I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thanks, Chris. Questions from council? Councillor Clark.
Yes, through Chris, and maybe it should be more directed at David. For example, is legal using it in-house right now?
Through you to the councillor, my understanding is legal is not yet, but that's something I'm happy to chat with staff on if that's something that would be beneficial. But legal is more of an internal department for the departments anyway, so I'm not sure how applicable it will be to the public, but I'm certainly happy to have some conversations.
I guess what's driving that question is I was told by a law professor that a lot of graduates out of Western Law School for first-year employment are having difficulty finding entry-level jobs because a lot of firms are relying on AI. So that's what drives that question.
Through the warden to the council, I will just mention that would be kind of a separate service. I know that there are AI services available for legal departments, but it would be separate of this software. This is more of an internally managed and developed piece. It's the software that sits on top, and then we feed it the data of internal documentation through the website. But there are definitely third-party services that deal with legal questions in a Canadian context.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Any other questions from council? Seeing none, we have a recommendation that'll be coming up. See for information. Councillor Clark, Councillor Mayhew, I see. All in favor? That is carried. The next item is 9D1 to 9D20. Is there, they're received for information? Is there any questions, comments on? Councillor Grantham?
Sorry, Warden, I'd like to speak to 18 and 19. Yeah, I'm supportive of both of those requests, but it's more of a larger issue. It seems to be more and more municipalities will be coming to the county with local, I call them local road safety issues. So I know, I've contemplated at Strathroy Caradoc coming forward with a resolution of different traffic calming measures and looking at things. So it's just more of a comment, Warden. There has to be a better way for local municipalities like Thames Center, like all of us, to get local road issues resolved without having, I understand they're county roads, but it's cumbersome, and to me, it takes away the local decision-making to have to come to the county to get decision gain, understanding their county roads, understanding, the county engineer obviously has a road to play, but I'm gonna suggest there's gonna be more and more of these resolutions coming forward to council if this is the way we have to get it done. So it was more of a general comment, Warden, than a question.
Okay, I think, Chris, if you speak to that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. I'll just talk on a couple of points here that were brought up, because they're sort of two different issues. So just for council's information, and just a reminder, when we're in urban areas in Middlesex County, the county responsibility is really from curb to curb, and we're really only making sure we're providing a safe road network that is mindful of the requirements of all of our road users. So using Thames Center as the example that's been provided today, there is a need for agricultural vehicles to access Thorndale. So we would make sure if we were designing something along the lines of traffic calming or bump outs or whatever else, we have to be mindful of the fact that there are large agricultural vehicles that have to access our communities. So we'd be careful to make sure we're not creating a safety hazard while trying to prevent some other type of safety hazard or perceived safety hazard. But I would also remind council that there is significant flexibility, as demonstrated in Strathroy Caradoc, for example, on Caradoc Street, where planters were constructed, lanes of travel were reduced, but that cost goes back to local municipalities. So there's lots of opportunity. The challenge is, how do we pay for it? What's the local preference? There's lots of flexibility in our policies and guidelines around things like signage, tree planting, bump outs. We just have to make sure that the road is maintainable. So again, we have some challenges with speed bumps on our RTO roads, which are most of our county roads, but bump outs and modifications of the roadside environment are certainly not met with any opposition. Part of the challenge with Thames Center's request is that it's sort of outside of the limits of the construction that has been budgeted or contemplated for 2026. So it'd have to be additional conversation about how this is paid for. There's also some other challenges around just constructing a bump out without worrying about what's underneath the ground. So there are some challenges with renewal of infrastructure that we have to be mindful of it as a total package. So we're not really wasting taxpayer dollars building quite expensive infrastructure to have to tear it out in a few short years to make repairs to others. So we look at it in a more comprehensive way, but there certainly is lots of flexibility with regards to how those are managed locally. I'd be happy to talk with any of your public works officials further about that. With regards to community safety zones, we have a community safety zone policy in the county. Again, this is the first formal request we've had for community safety zone. I'll be bringing that policy back in front of council in September to remind them what the policy says, to review and make modifications to that policy if they so choose. The other one we're hearing more requests about is automated speed enforcement. Got a letter today from LA Metcalf actually asking about automated speed enforcement, which is really a separate issue and a very challenging issue with regards to implementing those types of measures in Middlesex County. But I will be bringing back again another report looking for direction from council about whether or not we want to pursue automated speed enforcement, and then what our options might be and what the challenges are with regards to implementing, let's just say, automated enforcement in general. So school bus cameras, speed cameras, and red light cameras are all options that are available to us under the existing legislation that manages automated enforcement. So those will all be coming back to council, but again, it typically, when we have these discussions with local municipalities, the struggle is capital dollars. So these things are not cheap. You know, they tend to run in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of these things, and it's being mindful about budget restrictions at the county level, budget restrictions at the local level, and considering it along with the capital programs, usually for the following year. And people don't like to hear that it takes some time to do these things, but again, we're trying to be mindful and conscientious of where we're spending our dollars, make sure we're coordinating with other infrastructure projects, and we're certainly going to review this in more detail. This request specifically from Thames Center, but if there's others, you know, our staff, my staff are in contact with local public works officials regularly to talk about what is in their future and what they're contemplating locally with regards to change to the roadside environment. And we certainly have a supportive policy framework to provide enough flexibility for local character and local preference in our urban areas. Again, just being mindful that we have to make sure emergency service vehicles, commercial vehicles, agricultural vehicles can safely transverse through our downtowns without inadvertently creating a challenge to pedestrians, cyclists, and other road users.
Thanks, Chris. Councilor Grantham, was that?
I think Warden had just, he struck on with the overall challenges. That's the rapid urbanization of all of our areas, right? So we're going to continue to have that push-pull against rural sensibilities, agriculture, against our urban areas, right? And we all face that. So my main point was just to bring forward that I think you're going to see more of these things come in front of county councils. We all try to solve our problems on county roads.
Thank you. Councilor Clark and then Councilor McGuire.
A couple of things. The first one is, what's the financial impact of this request?
Through the warden to Councillor Clark, there would be no financial impact on Middlesex County. This would be a locally funded local improvement project. So Thames Center would be absorbing the cost.
Okay, and just to follow up on that, so could it be for the school year in a couple of weeks, something as simple as putting signage up to start with?
Through the warden to Councillor Clark, I would defer to Thames Center for an alternative to the request that was received from the council.
Sorry, I'm not suggesting an alternative. If we have to wait for a staff report, what's the downside to putting up community safety zone and like having that area set aside? Or do you have to widen the road? Like, you think that already just because you're designating it as a slow down area? I don't understand that.
Well, through the warden to Councillor Clark, we have an existing community safety zone policy. So to put it in place, the request would go through the existing framework, which is we would have to engage with community partners. Putting up a number of signs certainly doesn't, in my engineering experience, change the behavior of the drivers we're trying to target to slow down in these zones. There's also some challenges about where the signs go up and whether or not they qualify as community safety zones, but we have an ongoing relationship with the OPP in that community safety zones without increased enforcement really have a negative impact on local safety. So we are conversing with the OPP on that front. Many municipalities have either paused or discontinued their community safety zone program without automated enforcement. It is intrinsic to automated enforcement. Speed enforcement of the community safety zone signs are utilized with those types of areas, so that does have that complementary enforcement piece to go with the signage. Those would work very well. I won't get into the challenges of that automated speed enforcement because they are lengthy. But certainly those would be the position that we would have to take at this point because we have an existing policy. The third leg of that policy is having local community education. So we speak to the schools, we speak to the local community groups, and we provide an educational program so that we are educating drivers. Fortunately, it's typically found that the local people are the ones that are violating the speed more often than our visitors. So there is a third component. Without education and enforcement, community safety zone signs certainly aren't effective, in my experience.
Okay, I think this will be an item to bring up at our Middlesex County Police Service Board. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor McGuire.
Thank you, Warden. I just wanted to speak quickly to 9D15, if I may, the letter from our MPP, Mr. Pinsonneau. So I'm happy to receive this. It's good news that he's supportive of this and that he's looking for, what supports the province might bring to this discussion. I can say in the Strathroy area, this was a topic of conversation within the last month. I was questioned about it by one of the reporters with My FM in Strathroy. So, upon reviewing the last time, the only time I've ever heard it at County Council, although I did find that there was probably 2 previous times that it appeared at County Council when I was not part of County Council. But at the last meeting, when I reviewed the minutes of the meeting, what I noticed is there was no ask of County Council. There was a report, we received it, we filed it, but there was no specific ask of County Council to put our mind to. So for those that are listening and wondering about the county archives and what it is, we've received a report what it is, what the concept is, but I did never see in the minutes that there was an ask of County Council. And I really think that's where this discussion falls to, is what's the ask? It'll have a financial implication, and then the working through of that. So very happy that Mr. Pinsonneau supports the concept, but how that comes into play and what exactly it looks like is still very vague, I would think, in all of our minds, certainly in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And I will say I was here when I think we've discussed it 3 or 4 times, and I would say it's still vague to me too, as to what the ask actually is. It's so vague, there's needs to be more behind it first, even to go farther on. So, anything else on from 1 to 20? Any other comments, questions on it? Arcia, do you have something on this?
I was just going to say, we haven't had a chance to talk as senior staff yet, but just for tracking purposes, I know Mr. Trainee is going to bring forward those reports. Like, do we want a resolution on those more broadly? Because I would say in my meetings with members of council, that is a reoccurring theme. Do you want to give a formal direction and we can come back with those reports, sort of the authority, and it can serve as both an educational and an opportunity to review on a go-forward basis? Or do you want to leave it as is, that Chris is going to bring those reports back?
Our clerk does have a resolution. If council would like to hear it, to see, we would like to forward. Yes, go ahead, please. Or Rebecca, whoever's. Councillor Grantham.
I'll move that motion.
Move this resolution. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Burkhart Jessup. Any other discussion on it? Seeing none. In favor? That is carried. Thank you. If there's no other comment, question on, I'd just like a motion to receive them for information. Councillor Smybert, Councillor McMillan, all in favor? Carried. We do need to go into close, but before we do, we're going to move bylaws. Oh, okay, so we have to rise from the committee first. Councillor Smybert, Councillor Clark, all in favor?
I just have a procedural question. At what point does he assume his position capacity?
Yeah, well,
That'll
we're going
be
to
in
do
the
the
bylaws?
bylaws right now.
Okay,
We're,
perfect.
I was going to say, we're going to move the bylaws up ahead of closed session. All right, so bylaws.
So we have number 7350, a bylaw to appoint Paul Shipway as Chief Administrative Officer. Number 7351, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 7203 to appoint members to committees and boards for the 2022 to 2026 term of council. And number 7352 to, well, maybe do that one after. we'll come back out of closed into that one. So we will do 7350 and 7351.
Sorry, I do need a motion now to go into closed session. Counselor Grantham,